Algebra 1. We are now in your purple packet, which says Unit 12 Statistics on it. And just because this packet was made super last minute, it's organized a little bit differently than your normal packets. So if you'll look at it for me really quickly, what you're going to notice is that both the notes and the worksheets are in the same packet and they'll alternate. All right, so first you'll see this note sheet, probability, and then right after it you'll see worksheet 1, which is the homework, and it'll go back and forth, notes, homework, notes, homework. If you flip to the very last page of the packet, you'll see that's your homework answer key. All right, just since I had to throw this together pretty quickly for the possibility of e-learning. Okay, so that's how it's all organized. It's all together for you. Okay, so today we're going to talk about probability. You may have noticed as you were flipping through that these notes are pretty long, but we're not going to do all of them. We're going to focus on the most important types of problems, especially since we are doing this via e-learning. Okay, and then at the end I'll tell you what problems you're going to cut from your homework, which is pretty short to begin with. So probability, first let's give you a definition. But our learning targets, this is what we're going to be focusing on today. Our definition of probability is the likelihood of an event occurring I don't know if that is 2 R's or 1. I don't really know. Occurring? Okay, anyways. Probability can be expressed in 3 ways. We can express it as a percent. We can express it as a decimal. Or we can express it as a fraction. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is just look at our 3 different representations and how to move them back and forth on your graphing calculator. And remember, if you don't have your graphing calculator, I did send out an email with information on how to download the free software onto your computer. Okay, so all right, we have the probability of 1/6. This is a fraction, and to convert that to a decimal, it says nearest thousandth, so I'll show you how to do that. We're just going to type it into our calculator. Nearest thousandth actually means 3 decimal places. That's more than we're used to. So this will be 0.166, but then that 6 is going to move the other 6 up. So it'll become 0.167. Now, to get the percent, all you have to do is take your decimal and move it 2 to the right. So this would be 16.7%. Or you could take your decimal and multiply by 100. 16.7%. Okay. So now this one, we have the 0.20. To get the percent, again, you're just going to move the decimal 2 to the right. Or you could take 0.20 and multiply by 100. And that gives us 20%. And to move it back to a fraction, we'll just math frac 0.20. So 0.20 math frac. So that's 1/5. All right, so let's try this one. 3/8, we have the fraction. We'll just type it in to get our decimal. And nearest thousandth means we'll keep all 3 decimal places. So 0.375. And then percent, you're either moving your decimal 2 to the right, or you can multiply by 100. So if you do this, you get the same thing. All right, last one, 28%. So to get your decimal equivalent, you're going to move your decimal back 2 places. That's a 0.28. You could also do the reverse and divide by 100, since we normally multiply by 100 to get a percent. And then once we have our decimal, we can just math frac that to get the fraction. Okay, so 7/25. Now, there are some fractions that we would expect you to just have memorized. These are the ones that occur most frequently in everyday life, or like if you're baking or really any sort of measurement. These are the ones that really just pop up most frequently that you should really know. So 1/3 you should know is the decimal 0.333 repeating, which if we move our decimal 2 to the right is about 33.3%, or 33 1/3%. Okay, if you want to put that repeating there, you can. 2/3 is just double 1/3. That's our 0.667 repeating. Okay, so if you go to the deli, all right, and you ask for 2/3 of a pound, it's over half. Okay, because 2 is over half of 3. That's 66.7%. All right, and you can type all of these into your calculator just like we did above. But like I said, these are ones you should be able to do without a calculator. 1/4 or 1/4. Okay, think about what a quarter is worth. That's 25.25, which is 25%. 1/2. Okay, well 1/2 is the same as 0.5 or 0.50, which is 50%. 3/4, okay, or 3/4, that's 0.75, which is 75%. 1/5, 2/5, 3/5, and 4/5. These are the last ones that are really good to know. So 1/5 is just the same as 0.20, which is 20%. 2/5 is going to be double that, right? Because 2 is double of 1. So that's 0.40, which is 40%. 3/5, okay, that's just 3 times our 0.20, right? Because 3, if we take 1 times 3, we get 3. So 0.20 times 3 is 0.60, and you can probably see this pattern here. So our last one's going to be 4/5 is 0.80, which is 80%. Okay, so these are just numbers that as you see them in the wild, okay, in the real world, hopefully we can understand what these mean as fractions, decimals, and percents. All right, so now let's talk about probability. This is something you've probably done before. Get it? Probability. Okay, I can hear you or see you rolling your eyes in my head. So here is your formula for finding the probability of an event. We're going to take our desired number of outcomes, so that's what we're trying to find, and we're going to divide by the total number of outcomes. Okay, so here's how you're going to do this. We're going to identify the number of desired outcomes, identify the total number of outcomes, and we might need to add in order to get this. We'll divide the two using our formula, and then finally we should check which format our answer should be in. It will either be a fraction, a decimal, or a percent. Okay, so we'll just recheck our directions at the end to make sure we have the form we want. All right, let's give this one a try. Find the probability that a randomly chosen friend is a Cubs fan if 8 friends are Cubs fans and 4 friends are Sox fans. Write your answer as a simplified fraction. All right, so notice we're finding the probability of a Cubs fan. So that's our desired outcome. That will go on top. Okay, I'm going to put probability of Cubs. This is just some probability notation. So I'm finding the probability of a Cubs fan. My desired outcome is how many Cubs fans there are, which is 8. That goes on top. And on the bottom, I'll put the total number. So the total number are the total number of friends that I have. There are 8 Cubs and 4 Sox fans, so that's 12 altogether. And then simplified fraction, I'll just type this into my calculator and I will math frac it. All right, so my answer is 2/3. And that's it. Let's try another one. Find the probability of choosing a red or blue marble based on the given information, and this time we're going to give our answer as a fraction, a decimal, and a percent. In number 2, we have 2 red marbles, and we have 8 blue marbles, and I want to find the probability of red. Okay, so probability of choosing a red marble. So remember, desired outcomes on top. Red marbles are 2 over total marbles. Total marbles would be 2 plus 8, which is 10. All right, so then I will math frac this, which is 1/5. This is one of our fractions that we should have memorized. Okay, so 1/5, or our decimal was 0.20, or as a percent, move it 2 to the right, that would be 20%. Okay, so you could put ors, or you can just put equal signs, but it did ask for all 3 of those. Okay, let's try another one. Number 3, number of red marbles is 4, total number of marbles is 10, we're still finding the probability of red. Okay, so red is our desired outcome. That's going to go on top. But be careful. A lot of people want to add this 4 and 10, but make sure you're reading. They tell you the total number is 10. So that 10 does go on the bottom. All right, so now we'll divide. Math rack. And 0.40 is our 2/5, which is 0.40. This is one of our ones we should try to memorize again, which is 40%. Again, you can just move that decimal 2 to the right. All right, great job. Let's look at 2 other situations with that. Number of red marbles, 12. Total number of marbles, 20. This time we're finding the probability of blue. So this is a little trickier because I didn't tell you how many blue marbles there are, but you know there are 20 total and there are 12 red. So if you want, you can put your 20 on the bottom right now since that's your total. In order to find our blue marbles, we're just going to subtract these. There are 20 total minus the 12 red are 8 blue marbles. That's our desired outcome. And so the 8 will go on top here. And then we can just go ahead and divide. 0.40, that was the one we just had. 0.40 is our 2/5. Okay, I can see that when I math frac. So 2/5, which is 0.40, which is just 40%. And there's my answer. One more with marbles. Oh, we're up in the ante here. We got some yellow marbles now as well. This is very exciting for your quarantine. You have red, blue, and yellow marbles. So 10 red, 6 blue, 8 yellow. I want the probability of blue marbles again. So desired outcome, blue marbles, that would be 6 on top. What's that number that goes on the bottom? Yes, remember it represents the total. So we will have to add these 3 up. 10 plus 6 is 16, plus 8 is 24. And then I'll divide. 6 divided by 24 is 0.25. That should be one that we recognize. It should be a 1/4 when we math frac. And that will be a 25%. All right, so now we're going to start skipping some stuff because some of these just are not as important as we need to be doing over the e-learning platform. So we are going to skip number 6. We're also going to skip number 7. And we're going to come down to number 8. During a football game, Warren threw on 4 of the last 6 plays. What is the probability that they will not throw on the next play? Write your answer as a fraction. All right, so this one usually gives people some trouble. We can either throw or not throw. Okay, those are the 2 options. So if we're throwing on 4 of the last 6 plays, that means we're not throwing on 6 minus 4, which is 2 of the plays. So the probability of not throwing happens 2 times out of 6 total plays. Okay, and we're going to write that as a fraction, but we always want to simplify. So we'll just type that in 26.333, which should be a 1/3. Okay, so 1/3 is your answer. All right, flip the page. We only have one more. We're skipping 9. We're going to go to 10. We have a bar graph here. The math team stops at Subway on their way to their big math team meet. The following graph shows the sandwich choices of each student. Give each answer as a decimal rounded to the nearest hundredth and a percent. Okay, so we're asked for all these probabilities here. We have math team sandwich choice. Here is the type of sandwich that they are eating. And then this number over here represents how many people chose that sandwich. One thing that's really good to find to start off with in probability is your total. So we're just going to go ahead and we're going to add all of these numbers up. So 3 plus 4 is 7 already, plus another 7, plus 10, plus 14. And so that gives us 38 total students, or 38 sandwiches. Okay, that number will represent our denominator, all right? So we can just put in over 38 for all of these because we have 38 total sandwiches. All right, so now I want to know, what is the probability that a student chose a chicken salad sandwich? I'm going to call that chicken salad. So what we'll do is we'll just find chicken salad, and the total number of chicken salad sandwiches are 4 out of 38, and then we'll type that in because we wanted a decimal. Okay, so we're going to round to the nearest hundredth. This time, I know I keep switching what we're rounding to on you. Nearest hundredth is what we normally round to, so that's 2 decimals. So it would be 0.10, but our 5 is going to move it up. So we're going to say 0.11, which is 11%. What is the probability that a student chose a turkey sandwich? All right, so look at your bar graph here. Turkey is 14. Put my little notation, probability of T for turkey. And then we're just going to type that in. Again, the 38 came from the total number. So I have 0.36, but there's an 8 there. It's going to move us up. So 0.37, which is 37%. And remember, to get that percent, I can either just multiply my decimal by 100, or I can move my decimal 2 to the right. All right, last one. What is the probability that a student did not choose a ham sandwich? So here's ham. I'm saying I do not want ham. So think about it. There are actually a couple different ways you could do this. Okay, see if you can take a minute and figure out what number would go on top here. All right, so the number that you should get is a 31. All right, and there are 2 ways you could do that. If we do not want ham, that means we want everything else. So we can add up 3 plus 4 plus 10 plus 14, and that should give you 31. But something that you might have done instead was you might have said, oh, well, there are 38 total sandwiches, and I don't want the ham ones, so I'm just going to take 38 minus 7, and that also gives you 31. Okay. So I'll divide that. And that's going to be a 0.82, which is 82%. All right, there you go. Those were our notes for today. Let's look at worksheet 1. If you just flip the page, you should find worksheet 1. And it's just front and back, but we are going to cut some problems from it. Okay, so first I want you practicing converting between decimals and different probabilities like fractions and percents, but you can get rid of 5 and 6. Okay, then you have some marble problems. All right, you can get rid of number 11. Okay, and you're going to keep the rest because it's not very long after that. Okay, so again, you're cutting 5 and 6 and number 11, and you should be able to do the rest of this pretty quickly. Okay, and then you're just going to go ahead and submit it on Canvas for me. All right, and if you have any questions, check in to the Zoom either today or tomorrow, and we can go over anything, or of course, feel free to Canvas message me or email me. Okay, I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye.